Well, welcome to the first proper episode, I suppose, of the UKgravelCO Cycling podcast. What a mouthful. And, well, you might be able to hear in the background a cat purring, because inevitably the cat has come to help, stood on the keyboard a few times, which is not great for recording a podcast, but has now plopped herself down next to the microphone. So if you're a cat lover, it might be your favourite episode. So anyway, back to the episode. That's enough cat action for the moment. And she's wandered off and curled up in a bed. So we can get on with it. So you might have listened to the intro, which gives a brief description of what the UKgravelCO Cycling podcast is about. I've got a few guests lined up, which hopefully you'll find interesting. But I thought in the first episode I should tell you a little bit about the UKgravelCO, what it is, and why it came about. Because hopefully we'll get some new listeners here who don't know about the website, UKgravelCO.com, the Instagram channel at UKgravelCO, the Facebook page, UKgravelCO, and the Facebook group, UKgravelCO. You see there's a theme. And I might have just stumbled across this on one of the podcast platforms that hopefully it's appeared on. So, UKgravelCO. It's a long phrase, I suppose, really, which is why it gets shortened to UKgravelCO, which works on paper, but when you say at UKgravelCO to someone, most of the time they're like, what? So, UKgravelCO, basically I started it because back in, I think, 2018, I was working in a bike shop, the lovely Cycle Studio in Redditch, and we had our first gravel bike arrive in the shop, which was a Trek, a checkpoint, in fact, and I was allowed to have it as the shop demo bike. So I did a heck of a lot of riding on that. But at the time, most of the people locally who I rode with were just riding mountain bikes. No one had got a gravel bike, so I decided to start the Facebook page or group to see if there was anyone else locally also into gravel bikes, this newfangled thing, and maybe we could go for a ride. I then started an Instagram channel because it was just a bit of fun, really, to put some pictures on. And that actually snowballed. So it went from like a few hundred followers in 6 months to over, I think, like 9,000 or 10,000, which was incredible. So there was obviously an appetite for gravel bikes out there. I mean, currently it's just under 20,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy when you think about it, because all I really do is post either my pictures or I get permission to post other people's pictures with the hashtag UKgravelCO or UKgravelCO. And the basic idea of that, and I think the Instagram page is the best at this at the moment. The idea was to inspire other people to ride bikes. And 4 years later, that's still the idea. But I used to get messages on Facebook and on Instagram asking me about the bikes I was riding, the kit I was using, because people didn't know anything about this new kit, really. So I decided I'd start basically a blog online, which became UKgravelCO.com. And review the kit I was using, because I thought you get lots of reviews online, but they're always sort of very formulaic, like, oh, it weighs this, it does that, 5 stars, 3 stars, and didn't seem relevant to me or the people that were messaging me, because most of the people, they haven't got loads of cash. They can't afford to buy the latest thing. So if they are making a purchase or an investment, they need to know it works. Not just a review that's paid for by one of the big cycling companies, which unfortunately does happen. So I started doing reviews, and basically with the stuff that I bought myself, or was already using. And with that sort of man in the street or woman in the street, rider in the street style, rather than giving points for this, giving points for that. So I went for a ride, took some pictures, gave my opinion, and then a couple of companies started to message me, oh, would you like to review our stuff? And I thought, well, do I really want to get into that? Because although they were not offering money, I was a bit wary of reviewing stuff that companies had sent me. So what I've always said in any email or contact that I've had with a company is, you can send me stuff, but if I think it's rubbish, I will say it's rubbish. And that's what I've stuck to. And there's been a couple of occasions where the companies weren't particularly happy about what I said about their product, but I think I've been fair in every one. But I would say 97%, 98% of everything that's been sent to me has been good. Very unlike when I first started mountain biking, when it was sort of in its infancy, and there was a lot of trial and error and a lot of rubbish products that came onto the market that just weren't fit for purpose. But I think at this stage now, especially with gravel bikes, because they're sort of, well, everyone's going to say, or everyone says it's a 90s mountain bike, which it sort of is. But I think a lot of the companies now, they're using technology that's worked on mountain bikes and sort of just toned it down slightly. And it works perfectly on gravel bikes. So there aren't a lot of products which are gravel specific that don't work. So that's basically what I've done ever since. I've either bought the product myself because I fancied using it and reviewed it, or I've been lucky enough to be sent stuff for review. I don't get paid for it. Occasionally, things such as bib shorts and clothing, the company obviously don't want back because I've ridden in it quite a lot. But things such as wheels, bikes, frame sets, they all go back to the manufacturer afterwards. So all I get is the publicity and the joy of reviewing it. So I don't actually get paid for any of this. That would be lovely, but I think I still want to keep that ethos of telling it like it is, rather than publishing a paid review. So anyway, to get back onto the main story, UK Gravel Collective, it took off from there. Ironically, I think I started the Facebook group, etc., to find more people to ride with at the end of 2019, and then in 2020, the slight problem occurred with a global pandemic. So my idea of inviting people round to ride my trails in the hope that they would invite me back to their local trails all fell apart because of a virus. So yeah, that all went, to coin a phrase, a bit tits up. But I suppose in a way that gave me a bigger audience, because obviously at the time we found out that the only thing you were allowed to do was go for a walk or go for a ride. So there were a lot more people interested in buying bikes and trying out different components. So I think the website UKgravelCO.com really took off at that point. But I think the biggest breakthrough was my first proper bike review. And this sort of started in February 2020. So I remember speaking to Alistair from Fussell Bikes as I walked out of work in February. I think it was slightly just before the first lockdown. discussing his new bike, the Causeway, and whether he fancied letting me review it. And I have to say, he did. And I mean, I was just some guy really in the street on his bike reviewing bikes, but we had a chat, and obviously he saw some potential for publicity. He got utmost confidence in his product, so he sent one out to me, and I reviewed it, and I think I got it in April, and I rode it all the way through the lockdown in the summer, and it's fab. And I think that's the kick-off point really of reviews, because that was really well received. And I remember taking the bike back to the great guys in the Trailhead in Shrewsbury, and lockdown conditions were in charge, and I had to wear a mask, drop the box into a special area where the staff weren't standing, and then step back and let them take it. So yeah, it was very, very strange time, but absolutely loved that bike. And as I say, the review was well received by obviously Alistair and just normal people who were riding. So then I was able to use that review as an example for other companies, and as I say, it's snowballed since then. But there's still the ethos of it all is to inspire other people to ride. So yes, I have reviewed some really expensive bikes, but I also review a really affordable stuff, because I know not everyone who wants to ride can afford it. So throughout the various lockdowns, I can't even remember how many there were now, I carried on doing reviews, but I also started a YouTube channel, basically because I was bored and riding on my own, and I fancied having a go at doing some video editing. So I got an old GoPro and I started doing videos. Now, they're never going to be slick and professional, because that's just the way this UK Gravel Collective is. It's just a normal person, especially things like Instagram, where you have Instagram versus reality, where on Instagram everything's perfect, the people are beautiful, the bikes are really expensive, the riding is fantastic, the vistas are out of this world. Well, in reality, and I think YouTube reflects this, you don't always get the line right. You fall off, you're absolutely knackered, you look terrible, and I think that has resonated more with people. I've had more messages saying, "Oh yeah, I saw you riding this trail. I'd love to ride that, but I went out and did my own thing. It was brilliant. I had a great time." And that is the reason why I started UK Gravel Collective, and that's why I continue to do UK Gravel Collective. Now, I have to say that I deliberately put in the title UK Gravel Collective Cycling Podcast, because I don't want this to be just about gravel bikes. I want this to be about any form of cycling, so gravel bikes, road bikes, mountain bikes, folding bikes, e-bikes, anything that will get someone out riding their bike, because it is the best thing ever. I've been out this morning. It's absolutely freezing. I was only out for an hour, but I got my head so cleared just riding along, thinking things through. I came up with ideas to sort out problems, came up with ideas for the podcast. You might not think this is a brilliant one, but everyone needs to try it. I know a lot of people in lockdown, they bought bikes and they went out, and they've probably not been on a bike since they were a teenager. And I hope some of those people are carrying on riding, and I hope that the UK Gravel Collective family of social media, or whatever the descriptive noun is for social media, continues to inspire those people and other people, because we just get one person, as I said in the intro, if we get one person out pedaling a bike, this is all worth it. And I know it's really it's a mindset really, especially this time of year when you've bought a new bike, or you're thinking of going for a ride and it's freezing cold outside. The last thing you want to do really is go out for a ride. But if we can inspire that person to actually go, and once they've done half a mile, they've warmed up, it'll be a whole new experience for them, and they'll want to do it again, hopefully. So that's the reason I started UK Gravel Collective, and that's why the reason I'm going to continue it. I realise I've been talking and waffling on for about 15 minutes now. So let me tell you what we've got coming up in the next few episodes, hopefully, if I can arrange it. We've got quite a few interesting people who have expressed an interest at coming on to the podcast. All I've got to do now is work out how to use Zoom so I can speak to other people and record it at the same time. As I said, I'm no expert. It's not going to be professional. There's going to be mistakes. I'll try and edit the mistakes out, but probably I just can't be arsed and I'll leave them in. So yeah, I've got interviews with designers, riders. Most of them are ordinary riders like us, but hopefully you're going to find it interesting, and hopefully you'll bookmark this, share it with other people. Check out UKgravelCO.com, the Instagram channel UKgravelCO, Facebook if you want to, although I'm not really a big fan of Facebook. But definitely the YouTube channel. If you just search for UKgravelCO on YouTube, if you subscribe to that would be brilliant, because I definitely get more reaction from videos from people saying they're inspired to ride. And I know I keep going on about it, but that is the reason for the whole thing, just to get people out on their bikes. So I'm going to finish now, and hopefully you're either already out on your bike listening to this, or you feel like you should go for a ride because it's a brilliant thing. So tune back in for the next episode, and hopefully you'll like this, and share it with someone who doesn't ride a bike, because they might be inspired as well. So thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.